This is for everybody who has already met their karmic soulmate, twin flame, soulmate. And for those of you who are still thinking, who is he? Who is she? Where can I find them? So before I start, I'm going to just explain to you the spread that I have developed for this occasion. So here are the significators that I'm using for this particular reading. Remember, significators mean that this is going to be the same for every sign. The reason why I'm choosing them, it's sort of like the category that I really want to find the answers to, as if you're in a bookstore and you find a book with this title. So let me explain to you the significators that I'm choosing. The first one is Luna. Luna is going to tell me about the darkness and everything that maybe still didn't surface, maybe things that you don't know, maybe things that you should know. Then we have Solar Deity. Solar Deity is going to tell us what you should know. Maybe there is like still somewhere lingering, maybe it is too bright for you, maybe it's too close to your eyes, but you're going to realize that maybe you know that. Then we have Reason. Many of us are asking, why? That's the hardest question as a therapist and as a reader to really answer. Why? Because we people, we don't really make too much sense when it comes to love. So we're going to try to answer it within this card. Then we have the card guidance. Let's see, because it's your mirror soul, what do you need to find out about this person? If you guys still didn't read my introduction to this series, please check somewhere in this corner before you proceed, because it's going to tell you really how and what I see it. I see it as a mirror, and that's why this is called Mirror Healing Series. Then we are getting to the Tower, and the Tower is going to tell us about what needs to break. It is like always a time that certain things cannot grow anymore, and maybe they cannot grow because they're not sustainable. Maybe, you know, we need to kind of change us. Maybe they need to change. Whatever it is, we're going to discover it in this category. And the Chariot, a lovely card with pushing it forward. Where do we go? Which turn do we take? And then let's check the significance of all of this. Two of Chalices. Is there a kiss that is going to happen? Or what at this point of time is karma telling us? So, guys, shall we start? Hi Virgos, and welcome to your monthly twin flames. So I guess you must be kind of like ramping up slowly to your birthday, especially those of you early August Virgos. So let's start. Interestingly enough, as a baseline, you have religious factor, but you also have flirt. So it's kind of like telling me that you probably will want to stay within your comfort zone, within kind of like what suits well. Religious factors sometimes can talk about it can talk about marriage, it can talk about relationships that are strictly defined, right? It can also talk about and warn about meeting somebody who is married, so kind of like be cautious about that. But then you're getting this Princess of Pentacles over here, which obviously you can see extremely lovely, and you being earth sign, this is like a lovely representation of you, right? So if you could just kind of like see, she's existing in this like beautiful landscape of rock formations and waterfalls and flowers, and kind of like she is wearing that basically pentacle of her own, like a brooch, right? This is kind of talking about comfort and sensual pleasure and material wealth, and kind of like these are the things that are making her feel grounded and happy. right? So earth inclinations can actually also bring sometimes greed out, but usually, you know, this princess is fulfilling herself through kind of like down to earth plans, right? But this down to earth plans are usually followed by hard work, and the greed is like only in maybe negative disposition or in negative kind of like stuff. But you got this card like really upright, so I really think you're going to be exhibiting kind of like the best out of here. So it's talking about strength, gaining strength, promising, being careful, having adept communication, being studious, kind of learning, and especially learning about how to conservatively approach wealth and wealth kind of development, right? She is kind of like one of those, the ultimate capitalist, right? Or, you know, kind of like ultimate kind of like how to work about that. It's kind of like scholarly. So it is like talking about economics, right? But probably conservative, just like as you had in the religious factors, but sort of like still having moral or global consideration. So this is like somebody who is, just think about, you're going in school to learn about money, and you're learning about every single aspect, not about, well, this is how you make it, this is how you accumulate this, but also about our moral responsibilities and many other things that are kind of like coming to play. So let's see what is hidden for you in this period. Oh boy, message of concern. And then you're having the justice reversed. And then Ace of Wands. Well, message of concern, definitely you might, something can maybe sidetrack you, blindside you over here. It can be something that you're not really prepared for, and it's going to be something that is going to kind of like take you off balance, that's for sure. It could be something or somebody from the past, given that we have this Ace of Wands here. Like, aces are always new beginnings, right? And look at this Ace of Wands here is like so lovely positioned, right? So we are seeing like any kind of like possibility that actually can happen over here. So it's kind of like almost looking like a torch with the energy, and we also have this light coming through it, right? So I don't know, like, I mean, it could be something about motivations, something about research, ideas and plans. This can be also about inheritance. But given the justice was preceding this and it was reversed, you're going to feel that you're short-handed over something. This is all coming from the past, because it's all coming in this kind of like house of secrets over here. Look at this, and this also fell on these religious factors, and the prison to me is also like a religious factors or marriage, but it came reversed. It's kind of like it's going to free you from a situation where you feel that you had to belong to. It could be a family information about that. You're getting out of the jail card over here. I think that's what I see. Let me just get one more. Allow reversed. Whether or not you see that, you're feeling that most likely your twin flame here has behaved very unjust toward you. It's maybe you have offered your heart and you have offered a new beginning. Maybe you're waiting for an answer, and the answer is going to be no. Unfortunately, the answer is going to be, I don't want to take this new step. But it's going to be in a very confusing way. So after you probe and ask a few questions and you keep getting maybe even abrupt answers, it's going to kind of like almost like give you a gift of, okay, maybe this is a no, but I'm seeing your true face, and thanks for showing that to me, kind of a thing, right? So let's see what's going to become known. Journey, the Fool, and Two of Wands. So the Fool is kind of like coming back to your old self, coming back to this kind of like a vision of kind of like grounding yourself again, kind of like, how do I position myself within my family, within my colleagues, in my company, at my work, in my group of my peers? Where do I belong? And am I feeling that I'm not being myself? Am I feeling that I'm not really expressing myself? Because this is just telling me of this kind of like round waves of different kind of like trust issues coming to the fore, and you have being protected over here, heavily protected. 2 of Wands is talking about this like daydreaming, right? And again, we have this like sun and something moving in your direction. You guys are moving into, oh my gosh, you're having the sun of the sun. This is such a good thing. You're kind of like pushing yourself into maybe having a little bit higher grasp of the situation, where you're also seeing things from all kind of different angles when you meet somebody else. 2 of Wands is talking about planning, talking about landing back on your feet. It's kind of interesting because what was not known is like about if somebody wants beginning or not having not wanting that beginning. But now I'm actually really seeing that this is actually giving you possibly a pause, because 2s are always about kind of like indecision. Where do I go? But you're going to start to feel superior. You will feel really kind of like that you can breathe with full lungs if you really wish, right? Because look at this kind of like person that you are becoming after all this situation. You're looking in the distance, you're not complacent, you kind of like, you're the richest, mind you, you have really questionable fashion choices over here, and if you're guys, not much to really brag about, but you know, there's like somebody so proud. Look at this, looking in the distance, look at this. It's not really a rainbow, but there is like this arch, which kind of like really feels victorious to me, like immaculate clothing, right? And this is like sort of like somebody who is very genuine, somebody who will stay the stoic, whether they're like happy or they're sad. But what I also kind of like really like about that is it's sort of like, there are things in the past that have to be released. You see this kind of like birds as a theme, but you also see the tree that is standing, that something has been accomplished. But this is almost like this beginner pose in a ballet, where you know there is this maturity. It could be that there was a kind of contradiction that is leading you to this point, but at least it's kind of like allowing you to start to kind of plan in a new direction. So what kind of like lessons we can kind of like learn from the situation? Boy, you have the mature man, you have the Chariot, and you have the King of Cups. The reasons are definitely, you're going into this maturity. You are moving ahead with a grand force. Now this kind of like, it's very interesting because you're getting that Cancerian energy. So whether or not you're dealing with a Cancer, or if you're just coming here and saying, hey, you know, when will I meet my twin flame? Boy, that's not something to look forward to, because twin flame relationships can be really, really difficult, right? But here we see 2 horses pulling this basically Chariot, right? Who basically does have that, you know, fortitude to kind of like move forward, right? Horses are basically of opposite colors, right? And they don't blend. It's kind of like yin and yang buried over here, just like what you had here buried in this kind of justice symbol. So we are seeing this kind of like change, and the change in life is often a result of competition. You know, the animal or plant that kind of like wins access to nutrition or to habitat or sexual partners is going to reproduce in the greatest numbers. And mutations that kind of like gain an edge in that survival game will end up as a norm, and they're going to be displayed with more change. So what do we resist as people? We resist change. So on one hand, you're resisting change. On the other hand, you're being told that the change is coming. So buckle up, right? So just think that maybe some of your thoughts are going to survive, other are just simply going to change, and you're going to realize that certain things have been founded well, or maybe perceptions that you had and feelings that you had, desires that you had, are serving you no longer. Now this is kind of like doubled up over here. This is more or less about travel and change and moving forward, and your ideas are getting like kind of like this new formation. Maybe it is the time to meet somebody who is mature, because this is now reconfirmation. You guys are maybe reaching that stage of understanding. The King of Cups could be this twin flame coming back to your life, that's for sure, like rushing in. But you might be just simply just looking away from everything that is going on. Maybe somebody is not paying attention to this reconcilable or irreconcilable differences, because this black and white needs to kind of like be pulled together. But maybe there is like somebody who basically didn't say certain things that need to be said, and now they feel I better say that before it is too late. So what do we have under guidance? Oh boy, and boy, and oh boy. The guidance is telling you definitely to think through it, and I can totally see why. You kind of like will be going through actually, well, let's go back to that, to change. And change is going to actually have its growing pains. So there is like this wonder about somebody. Obviously you're thinking about your twin flame, and actually the thinking about the twin flame, you're really thinking about different ways of dying. And each time you think about it, you feel a little death, if you really wish. You feel crushed, and you feel, I don't know, even defeated. You see the Strength card, and we are going through the transition of Leo, which you kind of like have it for this big crowned lion over here. But then there is like this looming and glooming thing. So the guidance is telling you to really question yourself about this entire situation. To, you know, thoughts are producing reasons and actions, and that's how we start to actually interact with the world. Because this is telling me that you're still not strong enough to kind of like move forward, because the strength is really needed in this situation, because you'll be going through a lot. You'll be, you know, I'm not saying that you're not mature, but you will be really, by the end of the month, not being able, you will not be able to recognize yourself. You will know who you are, because you are struggling with lots of things, right? When I see this Prison card and the Justice reversed, and you were banking on something to go forward, you were presenting and working on yourself, but you know, maybe you're looking in the wrong direction. Maybe you're looking away from where you're supposed to look, and you keep going back to this, right? It's kind of frightening card of basically this entire deck, right? But yet we also have the Sun in this card. In the other decks we usually have the Sun just like slowly coming up here. So to me this is an image of madness, and person kind of like besieged by the anguish of possibly his or her own mind, right? So the Sun is basically a healer, but it's almost like splitting this person even more, because you see it kind of like almost having the same harsh energy. So this is really talking to me about some kind of insanity. So guidance is basically telling you, are you insane, guys? I should probably name this, are you insane, right? Because sometimes madness is considered divine, but sometimes it's considered a curse. And you know how some people say there is like this fine line between, you know, insanity and genius. I don't think so. I don't think it's circular. I think it's flat, and there is like no fine line. So, but I think, you know, just like mental illness sometimes like prevents you of seeing things in the right basically light, it's over here warning you that something is possibly overwhelming you, that you're seeing just one big huge puzzle, but you're not seeing how to put it together, right? Also kind of like this might not be talking about you. This might be talking about this person, that somebody basically has psychological issues that need to be addressed, and the way they treated you had nothing to do with you or your relationship. It simply kind of like was inappropriate due to the fact that, you know, they just have been going through, you know, some health issues of their own. This also to me talks about the distance, talks about, you know, ideas that have been very grandiose and for some reason couldn't kind of like materialize, right? So again is going back to this maturity, and the King of Cups is a highly mature king. So I really think if this is still guides you, because this is your guidance after all, if you're still suffering, if you're in despair, I please ask you to speak to someone. Because to me, this is one of those warning cards, especially when it comes to strength. It could be that you're dealing with somebody who is in a relationship and who is married, who is going to tell you, I am going to stay that way, and it's not going to change. And maybe prior to that, they have told you, and you will kind of like interpret that as a ruin and defeat, at the very least mental confusion, and lose this kind of like ability to feel strong. It's certainly going to come as a shocking surprise, and I really don't want to hear that somebody who listened to something and didn't kind of like look for this advice did something to themselves, because this kind of like really got me worried. I please ask you that if you're going through something like this, that to please call one of those 800 numbers, talk to somebody, because you're banking on something and somebody isn't. So hopefully this is going to give you some kind of clues about what you should expect. You are trusting somebody where you shouldn't be. That's kind of like how I see it. So let's see this Tower here as well. The house. For those of you who are living with somebody, you see this is kind of like an intricate house. This house is not just a house. I wish I have a house like that. I have like kind of like apartment that probably would fit somewhere here, right? So this is talking about something, a big plans and grandiose. And even if I really look at this, kind of like these two windows almost look like the eyes, kind of like looking at you. So maybe you are like considering, what did I want in this life? What did I consider my home? What did I consider like I'm in my direction? And then it's getting here this Nine of Pentacles, which to me always speaks Virgo, nothing more, nothing less, as well as Eight of Pentacles. And then the Devil card over here, reversed, luckily. And this is coming in the Tower. So actually this is a good kind of a breakthrough, because Nine of Cups is definitely telling me that you will kind of like pull your and recall your strength back. Nine of Pentacles is about kind of like understanding where you stand, understanding what you want, understanding what you need. Very much like this Princess of Pentacles that you see over there. Also, she has this, well, not really tiara, whatever you call this, around her forehead, right? So it's kind of like really weird when I look at this, to be honest with you. Look at this image. It almost looks overly idyllic what I see here in the window, because we see a modern car over here, the bird, basically the house. We had this house, the surrounding park, beautiful woman, almost like as if everything is staged. You guys have this perfectionist, you know, streak. You have to ask yourself, are you, because this is definitely here also telling me about wealth, about building some kind of like newfound understanding. Are you sure where you are heading? Are you sure that what you have been told is true? Is it maybe possible that you're imprisoning yourself in some kind of beliefs? Because there is kind of like this rigidness, but this is really telling you that it's going to be somebody nice and gentle coming into your life. Do not measure this person by how much he has in his pocket or her pocket, right? So almost like here that it looks like there is a commercial kind of like time coming through, right? Nine of Pentacles is always talking about control over somebody's circumstances, right? but it also talks about being spectator to your own life. That's why I keep telling you, right? So this part of this person's power is material power, right? So you might be actually going to some kind of like big events. You might be going to some kind of galas or huge conventions, maybe even fashion shows, right? Because this person is kind of like handling that. Maybe it's going to be a new kind of like gap where you'll have ability to present yourself. So be careful how you do, because you know how this, what they say, like attracts like. So if you're not fully authentic, you might actually get something that isn't as well. And I'm going through this great detail because you're getting this, look at me, this devil card over here, and this devil card in this deck is like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, you know, I don't know, part man, part beast. He should be a bat, and you know, and goat, you know. So we have actually more people than two, and we have like quite a few things going on in this card. It came reversed, but this is coming in the Tower. I think it's kind of like you're tired of feeling certain way. You're tired of always trying to get things right, or fixing things, or fixing problems. Maybe you feel oppressed, right? Because this is kind of like similar card to the Lovers, and Lovers card shows the union of opposites through basically love, where the Devil card presents what opposes union. So in emotional terms, that can be hatred, right? In metaphysical terms, it's ignorance. So you know, it's whether it's new age or old age kind of like belief or attitude toward that, it's kind of like definitely talking about some kind of suffering, because the devil offers no true marriage, no union, no creation. So I'm wondering here if you're trying to keep up the appearances, whether it is keep coming to that thing that somebody's telling you, oh, I don't want to, you're just the option, you're not my destination, you're not my goal, and you're kind of like sticking around because the devil is like the turbulence that we feel, and this is doubled in your situation. But when it's reversed, it is kind of like ability to kind of like kick that oppression and kick that chain of events that didn't kind of like guide you to the path that you feel that you deserve. And I feel you deserve much better, because you are actually programmed, you know, as I said. Are you insane over here? And there we have a karma card, and there is a counterpart, a mature woman. You are raising up for the occasion. There you go. You are letting go of what seems to be the prestige. It's kind of interesting. This month you're going to put everything that you have ever learned about the money and how you wanted to live your life under huge question mark, because Four of Pentacles is all about taking down this like boundaries, taking down this rigidness, and this is promising to go in a new direction. Big changes are coming, kind of a thing. The Wheel of Fortune is this very strong karmic card that kind of like shifting you into something else, and no matter what I say or do won't change it. It's a good thing that this is coming into this kind of like your guidance category, into your Chariot category. How are you moving forward? You guys are actually maturing something in you. You are reaching a new layers of understanding of who you are and where you should be. So let's see about this person, the twin flame. Oh boy, look at that. Your twin flame is getting the world, and this is such a lovely card. Look at this. Karma accomplished. You guys, you need to let this person go, because staying with this person is only going to just get you in another round and another cycle of turmoil. This person maybe needs to kind of like figure out what they want. They're getting this courthouse card, right? We had the Justice card over here reversed. maybe by you not stepping into their justice, you're actually stepping out from injustice toward yourself. At this stage, this is not about the two of you, because this person is not into that, the two of us. This person is into who am I. And another thing is like, look at that. You're starting this journey. So being a perfectionist, as much as you're blaming yourself and things go bad, is actually paying off right now, because you're going from 0 to 21, to the very first one, to the very last card, in one shot, in one reading. And you're doing this by simply by observation, by realization of what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and what does it take to actually be a full person and have the full understanding of the situation. And you know, you are not here to save them. Are you guys trying to save somebody? Because this is not what you're supposed to do. There is this person who looks like needs to kind of like create their own kind of like thing, right? So this whole dancing in the cosmos, right, is talking about taking to this divine level and something coming to an end, whatever it is like a finishing this, I think, union, finishing pregnancy, finishing school, business deal. Everything has been, you know, gathered and united. And it's kind of like a celebration time, guys. Maybe you're going to say to yourself, I dodged that one, kind of a thing. I'm done. You guys are clearing karma. You know what? I would highly advise you getting my karmic readings, because it tells you why you meet people, which people you wrote in, which people are your karmic soulmates, and why you actually wanted them to appear. So you guys are sort of like working through whole bunch of things this period. And there you are. You're coming out as a karma. You're coming out refreshed, because you have here 5 of Pentacles reversed. You're getting out of that confusion of being pushed away on a limb, of somebody not willing to collaborate you, where you're no longer hopeless. The hope is shining. There is like this Merkaba. See my little Merkaba right here, giving you understanding that sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But the whole idea here is, and this is another thing that's important, 17 and 5 is 22. So 22 and 2, you're having this 2, 2, 2. We are going through this eclipse. So I'm doing this reading on August the 11th, so it is 11, and it's also the year number 11. This is kind of like the gateway opening, and that's why I really wanted to do some readings on today's day, to really see what is behind that door. Behind the door, you are hiding. See, you have been peeking through this entire time, and different aspects of you are being kind of like polished. Because you see, this crystal comes all rough, right? It just comes, well, this is not exactly the same thing, but that roughness is eradicated with actually working on the different aspects and working on different sides. And you're actually doing that very much. I did pull one more card for you for sealing, and I was like really shocked when the same card showed up that I just had for Leo. And I did shuffle quite a bit. So it is about higher power. And look at that. She is having this unlocking feeling through her third eye. And I think that's what's happening, guys, because that's why she has this. And I don't know what you call this. The theme keeps repeating across your reading, and you're being literally pushed away. If you feel pain at any point, you guys are being pushed away from something and somehow that you kind of like wouldn't have to be. So let me read you a little bit different aspect of this card than I read to Leo's, but I would recommend you just going, if nothing else, to the very last part of Leo reading and checking this out. It says, it is time to address how much effort you give to your relationship with your higher power called God, Goddess, Spirit, or any other name that is sacred and holy. Recognize that your partnership with Spirit is your number one priority. The appearance of this card also indicates that there is a deep spiritual bond between you and another person who is and was essential for your growth and evolution. Tend to your spiritual connections and remain of your true nature. Another thing that is kind of interesting, because I keep getting this 222 kind of like repetition for you, that this is for. So this is kind of like bringing you to some kind of like mastery. So there you go. You guys, you need to wake yourself up. You need to activate who you truly are. And it's going to be the growth this month. The growth where you're going to be almost like teased with kind of like electrical shocks if you go in the wrong direction. So you will have nowhere to go but then in the right direction. So hopefully it helps, Virgo. So let me know if you want a reading with me. You can check me with my website cattarot.ca, or if you have any questions, contact me via my email, which is down below in the description box. And if you haven't subscribed, just please click on this button here and you'll get invite for my live readings. All the best, Virgo. Love you.